All right, welcome back to Badass of the Week. My name is Ben Thompson, and we are continuing our series with Ridiculous History. We ran the first part on Tuesday, in case you missed it. This will be the second part of our episodes where Pat and I went and visited Ridiculous History and talked to them about badass stories from American and French history. We'll be back next week with regular episodes, and we hope to see you then. Until then, stay tuned. This is a really fun episode. I think you're really going to like it. Stay badass.
Ridiculous History is a production of iHeartRadio. Welcome back to the show, fellow ridiculous historians. Thank you, as always, so much for tuning in. That's our super producer, Mr. Max Williams.
Max, the Chesapeake boy Williams.
Chesapeake
Okay, we're still don't know. I do want to drop something in here that's reference to our previous episode.
Sure.
Where it was brought up the absurd name of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which I one time saw and I've never forgotten this, translates to the Angels of Anaheim.
Yeah, it's some real ATM machine Venn number logic there.
With the facts.
Who's that sneaking in our phone? It's Max! And he's full of knowledge just for you right now. Here he comes. It's Max with the facts!
And that is none other than Mr. Noel Brown. They call me Ben Bowlin. In this neck of the global woods, folks, we are having what we call a badass of the week with big thanks to our returning guest, none other than the co-host of the Actual Facts Badass of the Week podcast. Please join us in welcoming back Dr. Pat Larish and Ben Thompson.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna do what's another? Chai tea. Chai tea is another one that's a repetition. I'm an ATM machine kind of guy.
Chai is just a word for tea.
Yeah, chai is just the Indian word for tea.
Chai has become a flavor, so you can have like chai gelato.
There you go.
As opposed to chai, chai that you drink.
Yeah, there we go. Folks, you can get the sense already that you are now hanging with five big-time nerds, honestly. And,
we were talking about threatening to do a D&D campaign off mic. So
I do. I write D&D adventures professionally, so
that's right. I did know that about you. Oh, well, I'm excited to come into your world of D&D and dungeon mastery.
Folks, if you have not tuned in to our previous episode about a guy named George that Noel, Max, and I had no idea about, please hie thee to thy podcast platform of choice.
Or a nunnery, depending.
Sure, if you wish, right? I think they have Wi-Fi.
These days they do.
Right?
Yeah, so we are, Ben and Pat, we are so excited that you all are returning with us despite our cavalcade of 3 out of 5 puns. In our previous episode, you are returning to us with another story of a badass. This is something building on our previous conversation. So for everybody wondering why we're calling our super producer Max the Chesapeake Cape, we promised we were going to pay it off. And
also the Chesapeake boy.
He's a Chesapeaker.
He's actually a
Chesapeake cheesecake.
Man.
Yeah, I like that one.
There we go. So, Ben, Pat, what is going on in Yorktown in the 1700s?
Yes. So let's talk. We were talking before about George Rogers Clark, and that's an interesting story. And, we are at a time where we're celebrating America 250 right now. And so we've been doing, at least on our show, we've been doing a lot of American history characters, Revolutionary War characters. And I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of America doesn't happen without the help of the French, as much as we like to dunk on the French here.
It's affectionate.
Yeah, it is. They played a very important role in the American Revolution. We talked about a slightly more passive role in the last episode. This one is going to be a little bit more of an active role, with direct fire engagement. So I guess in honor of America 250 and Bastille Day 237, we'll talk about the Battle of Chesapeake Games. And Chesapeake Games is a weird thing.
Can I just say really quickly, I really appreciate you referring to it as America 250 and not the rebranded Freedom 250. We are an America 250 household here, so I appreciate it.
I haven't even heard of that, so I don't know.
It's better that you haven't. It's better that you haven't.
It's a bag of badgers.
Liberté 235 or 237 or whatever it is.
Okay, what's up with the capes, though, you guys?
Okay, yes, let's get into that. It's an interesting thing about this is that the most decisive military action of the Yorktown campaign did not involve a single American soldier, sailor, or Marine. That's the story we're going to tell today. So we all kind of know the story of Yorktown the way that we are taught it in school. We picture the British, they're pinned down on a peninsula in Virginia. Washington, Rochambeau, the American and French armies link up. They trap Cornwallis on this peninsula. They march down there. Cornwallis is locked into, he's got this bunker system at this fort in Yorktown. He gets surrounded. He gets attacked. He tries to break out. He's not successful. And then he has to surrender his army. That's the tale we've been told, right?
Now, here's the thing. Yorktown is a coastal city, right? So it's a peninsula surrounded by water. And the British, well, at this point in history, who has the most powerful navy on the planet? So the Brits, they were basically ruling the Atlantic. So why were they stuck? If the Royal Navy is the undisputed king of the sea, how in the world did they let Cornwallis get cornered on a piece of dirt when he couldn't escape by ship? If you have, the ultimate taxi service, why are you waiting on the curb to get arrested?
Yes. So the reason the revolution ends at Yorktown isn't because we walked up and demanded them to surrender. It's because a little bit before the siege, there was something that happened. There was a naval battle that happened off the coast of Yorktown that was among the most deadly naval conflicts of the 18th century. It's called the Battle of Chesapeake Capes, and it's the reason the United States exists. So we're going to talk about some Frenchmen. We're going to talk about some cannons. We're going to talk about British admirals. We're going to talk about gunfire, fighting, Marines, all kinds of badass stuff on this episode.
And in interest of full disclosure, folks, we just want to get in front of the emails and the scuttlebutt. We are going to have to acknowledge that not all Bens are great. There is one bad Ben in this story.
Just one bad Ben in the historical bunch, and no more.
Well, there's Mussolini. I guess he qualifies. But,
he is a bit of a Ben, isn't he?
He's
I wonder
Ben,
if his friends called. I wonder if he was Ben to his friends. I've always referred to him exclusively as Benito.
Okay, so yes, as Benito, as Little Ben. Benedict Arnold. We got to just.
I think we're really expanding our definition of Bens here.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
Are you Benjamin?
Is this a legal inquiry?
Ooh, we do have.
I don't know, but I'm curious. Because maybe it's Benjamins that are okay, and maybe it's not maybe if you're shortening it for something else, it's bad.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to get in front of that for us to make sure that, you fellow ridiculous historians know as a crew that we do not, I hope we can say this unanimously, we do not condone Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Arnold's an interesting character, though. We can do a whole thing on him because we did a Badass of the Week on him, actually, because it was so wild. Like, he was such a hero, such a brave American hero, military commander, like so many amazing actions he did early on in the war.
But one thing,
one bad decision, one bad decision to find him. But he did a lot of heroic stuff before that. He won Saratoga.
I did know that. I think we might have talked about this in the past, Ben. Isn't that funny, man? How history can remember you for the one bad thing, and then your name becomes a stand-in for being a bad guy.
Well, Ethelred the Unready, you can hear him debated about at length in Badass of the Week in the podcast. Ethelred the Unready was actually unready multiple times.
That's true.
So
he deserved it. Yeah.
Okay, he deserved it. But we know, as we're saying here, it may be new information to a lot of us in the audience that when we're saying Chesapeake capes, we're talking about a specific place, not a style of cloak.
Yes, this is off the coast of Virginia in the Chesapeake Bay. So Cornwallis is trapped he's trapped down in, when the war begins, or at this point in the war, we're at 1781, the British have an army up north and they have an army down south. The army down south, you guys have covered this before, but the army down south is being beaten, right? They've lost to Cowpens. They've lost to Guilford Courthouse. They're retreating. Cornwallis's guys, he's got half the British forces in North America, but he's lost a couple battles. He needs to regroup. So he moves into Yorktown, waiting to get picked up by his Uber to bring him back to New York to regroup and refit. Washington is up north. He's like, well, this is our chance. So when Cornwallis retreats to Yorktown, Washington diverts like almost the entire American army in North America to attack Yorktown to try to just concentrate on this one thing. We've got this guy. We've got him here. We need to just attack it and try to knock this one thing out, divide and conquer, right? So he marches his troops a very long distance in a very short period of time to surround Yorktown. But in order for this to work, the British can't, as Pat said, just roll up with their boats and sail away. Now, this is where we need to call in the French. And by 1781, the American Revolution is not just the 13 colonies of King George. It is a planet-wide world war. France and Spain have jumped in, and there's fighting everywhere.
We've got naval battles in India, skirmishes in Africa. We've got this huge kerfuffle going on in the Caribbean.
Yes. So, it's worth mentioning that the bloodiest battle and longest battle of the War of the American Revolution was the Siege of Gibraltar.
Right.
More people died there than in any battle in the American Revolution, and it was part of that war. So when we sent Benjamin Franklin, here's a good Ben. We sent Benjamin Franklin and John Adams over to France to negotiate this. And when France joined, like the deal we made with France was like, okay, any territory we take in North America is American, but I don't care what you guys do otherwise. And so you just fight whatever. And so the French and the Spanish start attacking all of these British colonies all over the world. Like you said, India, Africa, the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. They try to take Gibraltar, which was British, which is still British, but they sieged it for like years, right? And
also India is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, I was not aware of that. Noel, did you know about that? I didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, France had colonies in India at the time, and they were trying to take it over. It didn't work out for them. They lost over there, but they tried. They were just attacking everywhere that they could, and that really spreads the English out, right? It's not that the British don't lose because France joins the war because France sends us 1 million soldiers to fight the war. They win because France attacks places that England cares about more. Gibraltar, India, the Caribbean, these are very, very lucrative places for the British Empire. And they're like, we don't have the forces, we don't have the resources to garrison all of this. So whatever, we'll just give up on the North America and we'll worry about the stuff that actually matters. We win because they pressure them across all fronts. And we open up not just a second front of the war, but a whole bunch of them. Now, okay. This is what's going on here. But in order to get Cornwallis and his guys, we've got them trapped on the peninsula. The British Navy is coming to pick them up, and we have to stop them. So this is where the French fleet comes into play. And they have to kind of sail in here and block this fleet of British transport ships from picking up this whole army and moving them up to New York and extending the war by probably years.
Yeah. And this plan, it's a gamble. Like every plan is a gamble. It has to do with timing. If Washington and the French General Rochambeau can get there first, we're fine. But if the British fleet shows up at the same time or even earlier, then Cornwall sails north and the whole thing falls apart.
Right. This is our chance to catch half their army is in one spot. We got to catch them before they can escape.
This is a real ticking time bomb scenario.
Yes, yes. This is a serious fleet that's coming. These are, think about like Napoleonic era wooden warships, 3 decks of cannons, right? The American Navy basically is non-existent. It's John Paul Jones and like 2 guys and like a pirate, and that's it. There's no fleet. There's no American fleet here. And the John Paul Jones's ship was built for the French. And so the British fleet rolls up, and they're coming with an armed escort of warships. And the French admiral is a guy named de Grasse. He gives the order to sail out and meet these guys. Now, this is where I want to introduce a character who I think is going to be our badass for this episode. Commanding the lead ship in the French formation is the ship's called the Auguste, and the captain is a guy that you need to know. His name is Louis-Antoine de Bougainville, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, Pat. Maybe you want to...
It works.
You said it with such authority.
Yeah.
That's half of it. It's like karaoke. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Own it.
This guy is the captain of the Auguste, and he has already lived basically like 3 lifetimes. He was born in Paris in 1729. His family was minor nobility, but both his parents died when he was 5, and he was raised by his older brother. He goes to the University of Paris. He publishes 2 treatises on integral calculus. He's a genius just for fun. He's a genius mathematician. He is a musketeer. He joins the army in 1750 as a musketeer, like D'Artagnan, fights against the British in Canada during the 7 Years' War, where he takes part in the defenses of both Quebec City and Montreal. He's wounded. He gets knighted for heroism in battle. He takes part of he's part of the diplomatic team sent by France to negotiate the Treaty of Paris that ends the war. And then after that, he becomes a famous explorer and naturalist. So he is the captain of the expedition that sets up the first European colony on the Falkland Islands. And then he commands the first French expedition to circumnavigate the globe. He departs Nantes in 1766. It takes him 3 years. He lost 7 guys out of his 340-man crew, and that was like going the long way around the Strait of Magellan. So pretty badass stuff here. And along the way, they're doing the stuff that you see from like Captain Cook and things, where they're stopping at uncharted islands and like doing, surveys, botanical surveys, and drawing pictures of the animals and things that they see in the
What
the
is
plants
this odd bird, and can we eat it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And among his crew, this is a fun little sidebar, there was a naturalist, Philibert Commerson, and his assistant was a woman named Jeanne Barré, and she disguised herself as a man, but because she was able to get herself on this expedition, she was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe.
Yeah. She disguised herself as a man. She went by Jean or Jean, and then it was Jeanne. And she's, you could do that better than me, Pat. I think you're
Jeanne
more equipped to handle that joke.
Yeah.
But they found out like halfway
badass.
through the journey that she was like, it wasn't like we found out years and years later. Like they found out on the journey, but nobody cared, right? And it was like she becomes the first woman to circumnavigate the globe, which is just super cool.
They were like, okay, everybody's got a backstory. Our main thing is avoiding scurvy.
Yes.
Right, yes.
That's the correct attitude. Yes. So after this, Bougainville comes back, he becomes a superstar. He's got like 1,000,001 different skills and experiences. He meets the king and queen. He gets a flower named after him. This is the Bougainville, those big kind of flowers that kind of spill over like purpley magenta colors. And now
he discovered them on his trip, and they named him after him.
Yeah.
Super humble, this guy.
Yeah. And
Well, the botanist named it after him. He didn't name it after himself.
Okay, good save.
Yeah.
yeah. So he's not writing calculus papers or picking flowers in the South Pacific now. His main thing is to be lead captain in the most important naval battle of the American Revolution. So, okay, who's leading the French charge? A genius, a world-famous explorer, and a combat veteran. This sounds like the right guy for the job, right?
Yes, Bougainville is just a wild story, right? This guy's published books on calculus and is a celebrity. Like he's a national celebrity in France he's being the first Frenchman to circumnavigate the globe. Now he's volunteered to be the tip of the spear here. This is not the kind of guy you put out on the front of the battle lines. But when the French fleet is lining up, he gets in the Auguste and he's like, I'm in front. He sails right out to the front. And this is a big warship, 74 guns, right? 3 decks, bigger than anything that the Continental Navy could field.
So for like current analogy here, Ben, or current comparison, this is kind of like an astronaut saying, yeah, I did a lot of outer space stuff, but also I want to lead a battle.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But he's also like a world-renowned naturalist, right. and published books on calculus. Although I guess astronauts are good at calculus also. So it's something like that, right? It's like having somebody you've seen on TV decide that they're going to like lead the charge and carry the flag into battle. It's wild. Okay, so Auguste is out front. He's the first one to spot the British. He's the first one to order his men to run the guns out. The stage is set for this battle. The British fleet is coming in. They've got their transport. The troop transports are lightly armed. They're waiting back to see what happens in the battle. The British fleet is moving in here. 19 ships, 1,400 cannons, and you've got the most polished professional sailors on the planet. This is the greatest navy on earth, and everybody knows it. 19 ships, each of them 3 deck, most of them 3 decks, man of wars. The French have 24 ships, so they've got more ships. They've got a little bit more cannon. They've got 1,700 instead of, they got 300 more cannons, and they got 5 more ships. On paper, that's an advantage, but in reality, the French Navy has not performed well against the British Navy to this point in the war, and they're going to continue to not perform well against them as the years go by. Bougainville is out there in front, and he's sent out. He's also realizing that he's kind of dangerously overextended. He's out there in the front, right? He's facing 19 ships by himself. The other guys are behind him, and this is old style war where you've got to get the side, you got to get the broadside, right? Think about pirate battles and things. You got to get the side of your ship on the side of their ship. And if he's sailing out there front, you want your fleets to be an equal sign to shoot at each other.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that, you're going first, and you're the one that's going to get shot by all of those. That first ship is the one that gets shot by all those other ships as it goes down that equal sign.
So this is a bold move. Some might even call it reckless.
Yes.
So Bougainville, he's got the Auguste, and he's daring the British he's basically saying, "Neener, neener, come and get me," and trying to draw all their fire, right? While he's trying to distract them while the rest of the French fleet is still getting into position.
Yes, the Auguste breaks formation and charges ahead by itself to basically take on the entire British Navy alone, which forces the British admiral to try to react to this. He's got to do something, right? He can't have this one ship just sailing out there. So he ends up coming in at like a weird angle, which helps the French in the battle. So the ships they come into line with each other, and the Auguste is out front. They run out the iron cannons, row after row of muzzles. Soldiers are opening fire on each other. The cannons are shooting, but the ships get so close during the battle that dudes are like climbing up onto the masts and like shooting pistols and rifles at each other. Like you can see the guys across from you. It's not like you'd picture with a modern naval battle where you're looking through like a telescope or anything. You can see the dude in the sail across from you, and you're trying to shoot him with your rifle. That's how close these guys are getting to each other. And the ships are just devastating each other. They're blasting, the masts get knocked off. The Auguste loses its masts. We're talking like shrapnel the size of like baseball bats, like flying wildly around the decks here. It's old school pirate Napoleonic style naval battle. And it's happening in Virginia during the American Revolution. And for some reason, we've never heard this story before.
And we have to mention, for a quick interjection here, you read my mind, Ben, Napoleonic tactics. That's what we're talking about. Like the Civil War in the United States, again, it's a terrible name. That was an exhibition of Napoleonic tactics on land, where you had a bunch of people who were largely going to be poor, if we're going to be honest, and you made them stand in line and sort of march at each other until they died.
A little bit of a cannon fodder type situation.
Just so, yes, sir. And so we're saying that at this time in this maritime conflict, people were still deploying that Napoleonic philosophy, correct?
Right. Because this predates Napoleon. So this would be 20 years before Napoleon.
Right.
So
they didn't call it that. Yeah, he named it after himself later.
Right. Our guy Bougainville is going to meet Napoleon later on, but yeah. So this is right before that, and that's the time period, right? It's not common for even at this time, it's not common for naval battles to take place at this range, this close to each other, right? Because you have so many cannons, and they just blast each other, and everything's on fire. The masts are getting knocked off. All these people are dying left and right. Usually you shoot from a farther distance away and try to hope that your guy's aim is better than theirs, right? These cannons are not super accurate. They're not rifled bores or anything. So you just kind of hope that your guy's gunnery skill is a little better than their guy's gunnery skill, and you fight from a long ways away until it's time to like maybe board them with your Marines or whatever. But this isn't common. And it is an advantage actually for the French, who are not as talented at gunnery as the British are. So when you get close like that, you can't miss. And this just lets them use their 25 ships and their 1,700 cannons. It might not be great strategy, like you said, just kind of march at these dudes. But like, all right, we got more than they do. They're better shots than us. So let's just get as close as possible. And the Auguste and Bougainville, they are able to kind of mess up the British formation by charging in a really weird way. He kind of lone wolfs it a little bit and disrupts their formation, which is also an advantage to the French. I mean, he pays for it. Him and his crews get blasted pretty heavily for this, but it is effective. Now, usually, but like you said, usually you're looking at somebody through a telescope. You're not looking the guy in the eye, trying to shoot at him with a handgun in a naval battle from this time period.
And Bougainville, in his notes, in his log, he says, "The vanguard was very hotly engaged. The fire was very brisk," which is...
Brisk.
This is
that's understating the case just a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
A brisk is something you used to refer to like a breeze or like, a current.
Yeah, iced tea.
An iced tea beverage, not gunfire, but I appreciate the wordplay.
Yeah. And speaking of breezes and atmospheric phenomenon, we're talking about this and we're picturing this, and we can picture this ship and that ship and the guys who can see each other without telescopes. But sometimes what gets lost in the way people tell this is that this naval battle, this titanic, history-changing struggle that's deciding the fate of an entire continent, it's happening right off the coast of Virginia, okay? And yet, if you were on the shore, you couldn't see a single thing. There is so much smoke, and it becomes a literal fog of war. The cannon smoke is so thick, so heavy, and so pervasive. Like, think after a fireworks show, except like times, I don't know how many orders of magnitude. There's just this wall of gray. You've got thousands of men, millions of dollars or pounds or francs or whatever of naval hardware, and you've got the future of the American Revolution all just clashing together in this, it's a hot mess, but it's a hot mess in a hidden bubble of violence. And then the people, I mean, I don't know if anyone's actually willing to sit on the beach in Virginia, but I guess maybe, what would they know? You're going down to the beach, and then you maybe hear a faint distant rumble, and maybe you guess that maybe there's some naval activity going on. I don't know. But you can't see it, even if you're standing on a pier, you would not be able to see it. And that's going on for 2 hours, these two fleets locked in this brutal, blind engagement. And finally, one side realizes, maybe we're losing the gamble.
Yes. So there is this fog of war. Ships are getting separated. It becomes this it starts as this big line. And whenever you look at like military tactics stuff, that's always how they draw it up. But like once you kind of get into a frenzy, once you kind of get into a brawl like this, it ends up like the Auguste is fighting two British ships. They're fighting the Ajax and the Terrible. So there's two 74-gun British ships fighting the 74-gun Auguste, and they're just battling each other. And other stuff is happening, but like you said, the fog of war is so dense you can't really see outside of it. The masts are down on all these ships, so there's no sailing anymore. You're barely rowing. They're just shooting at whatever they can shoot at. And like you said, this is, we've got 1,700 cannons on one side, 14 on the other. We're looking at something like 3,000 plus cannons firing as fast as they can fire. Multiple, like at least, I can't remember how far off the coast it is, but it's miles off the coast. So it's not visible. And, maybe that's why the story doesn't get talked about as much, because no Americans were there and no Americans could see it. So but this battle is like defining the American Revolution. And yes, like you said, when things are starting to look kind of bad, after 2 hours, darkness is starting to fall. You can't fight it in darkness, and you don't want to, because you don't want to accidentally crash into any of these other ships. So as darkness starts to fall, the British retreat. They've lost almost 400 guys. The French have lost 200, dead and wounded. The Terrible is sinking. It's unable to be repaired. It sinks to the bottom of the harbor. Rescue boats.
Terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible for that boat.
Terrible.
You've got, one thing that we don't think about too much with big colonial naval battles is you have rescue boats. So there's dudes out in rowboats rowing around trying to pick up sailors out of the water. You've got guys kind of hanging on, and some of these sailors can't swim because they're drafted into this service. Some of these guys aren't volunteers. They're just impressed into service. So they can't swim. They're just holding on to like things that are floating and holding on to wreckage. You've got these guys rowing around on boats trying to pull them out. The British Admiral, Sir Thomas Graves, he's like, I think this is it. Like, I don't think I can break through this wall here. I don't have the manpower to do it, and I've taken too many hits here. And his ships are all just smashed. The French tactic was to shoot down the masts of the British ships, because that's a thing that you can't really repair in the field, and it affects your ability to do anything else if you have no engine, basically. So the British retreat, and dawn breaks at Yorktown. Rochambeau is there. Washington's there. You had mentioned Alexander Hamilton. He's there. Marquis de Lafayette's there. And, they do go to the beach in Virginia for some reason. And when they see...
Likely heard a distant rumbling.
They heard a distant rumbling of thunder, yeah.
Okay.
And they come back, and as they're standing on the pier, they can see 24 French warships returning to the harbor. And they're like, that's it. We did it. We got them. Like there's huge cheer goes up down the line from the soldiers on both sides. And that's it. Cornwallis is not going to get out. The French and the Americans surround them. They besiege them. They start firing cannons at them. And on October 17, 1781, Cornwallis requests a ceasefire. 2 days later, he unconditionally surrenders all British forces under his command. And with that one signature, half of the British Army in North America becomes prisoners of war.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy.
Right. Half. The war goes on for 2 more years, because the guys in New York don't surrender as easily, but they don't make any real expeditions out of there. And without these troops that Cornwallis had, like they can't do anything, right? So the United States the war ends officially in 1783. And all of the hard work that was done by the colonials over the many, many years of this war results in a free and independent United States. But it is largely due to the Yorktown campaign, which gets mentioned all the time as the end of the war. And it's not really the end of the war. War goes on for 2 more years. But it's very interesting that they're like, oh yeah, Rochambeau showed up too. He was also there. And it's like, well, there was also 24 French warships with 1,700 cannons, blasting the British Navy. We should probably mention this, I feel like, when we talk about Yorktown.
That's true. I love the way we're portraying it, because for a lot of us, it will call to mind the big question about all the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. American school kids know some of the top names, but I always love thinking about the person who was in the room for, maybe there was a different reason. Maybe they were bringing the snacks in, and they were like, oh, yeah, I'll sign it too, man. I want to be part of the thing.
Did you say the snacks or the stacks?
Snacks.
Snacks, okay.
Stacks
gotta have
of snacks.
Yeah, stacks of snacks, potentially.
Stacks of snacks, just so. And there's another thing we have to mention here in you all's research. I'm not sure for of the best way to set this up. I think you all did it perfectly with the title. I did not want to go to your stupid party anyway. What's that about?
Have you guys discussed Bannister Tarleton yet? We did a badass on him once. Bannister Tarleton is the guy who, the bad guy in The Patriot is based off him. Bannister Tarleton was like this 20-year-old like cavalry officer. He's just the perfect, just bad guy. Just everything, just burning people, burning stuff. They called him Butcher Tarleton or Bloody Ban for Bloody Bannister Tarleton. He's an episode by himself. He's just he's the ultimate villain of the American Revolution. And, just everything you can think of. His parents were like, so he showed up and he claimed to have like killed more men and ravished more women than any other British officer in the war. Like he would go around bragging about that after. And like he's just this monster of a person. He's burning cities. He's killing prisoners of war. We can't stop him. And he's recruiting loyalists to like fight for him, which everybody hates more than having the actual British. Anyway, we all hate this guy. And when the war ends at Yorktown, they have this is very 18th century, right? They have this big party. So Rochambeau and Washington invite Cornwallis to dinner, and they have this big dinner for all of the American and British and French officers. I can think of nothing more 18th century. And
how tense was that?
I don't know. I just picture it being chill. I picture just being like, oh, yeah, it's a good war. Good war for you. Yeah, good war for me, I think.
Oh, it's like when we were all playing child sports and we had to get in a little line and
high five after. Hands. It's like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Good
yeah,
game,
I think
guys.
So. But they didn't invite Bannister Tarleton.
Okay. Yeah. Because of his vibe, right?
Because he's like, because he was just a miserable, awful person and everybody hated him. And it doesn't end badly for him either. He goes back. He becomes like this superstar. He becomes a member of parliament who advocates for the slave trade. He marries like the most famous stage performer starlet in London. He's like becomes super rich. Just the worst. He's just the worst. He's the worst in sometimes in a funny way. He's the worst
in a cadre of worst. So
yes, he's the worst. But he didn't get invited to the party.
And he's Ban, B-A-N, not Ben with a B-E-N.
Oh, Pat, thank you so much.
That's good.
Yeah, that's important. That's an important detail. I think we buried the lead.
Yes, he is different guy, different first name with a B. It's also we love the point, guys, that the Battle of Yorktown is seen as a climactic titular event, obviously, right? But it is important to remember that things continued, as you said, for several years. And one of the facts, Noel, I don't know about you, man, but one of the facts that's going to stick with me here is when you, Pat, portrayed the Revolutionary War here in the U.S. as a facet of a larger world war. Is it fair to call that era of conflict the First World War?
No, because you have the Austrian Succession, you have the 7 Years' War, you have all kinds of world wars. Like this is a very European thing because this is kind of a continuation of the 7 Years' War. This one doesn't even get mentioned that much in some of the other when you're discussing other the sequence of European wars, but. Yeah, this was just a mess. It culminated in that, right? Because you have all of these alliances. Spain is on France's side for this war. Spain is with us and France against England. But then once that war ends, France and Spain are going to go to war with each other. It's a mess.
Talk about a bag of badgers. Jeez.
Before we end, though, Ben, I would like to wrap Bougainville because he is an interesting character and he survives this battle. He leads his ship. He loses a lot of soldiers. He loses a lot of sailors and Marines in this battle, but he survives. He sinks He sinks the British warship. He continues on, fights in a few other battles in the Caribbean as part of this series of conflicts, right? He fights in the Battle of the Saints, which is the French are like, okay, we'll just take Bermuda because we're here. We'll just attack Bermuda. And he fights in a battle there. After the war, he goes home. He becomes an instructor at the French Naval Academy. He joins the French Academy of Sciences. He's able to not be guillotined during the Reign of Terror. He lives in this really nice estate in the Normandy coast. And then under the reign of Napoleon, he's made a count. He's like given an order of nobility and becomes a count. And he serves as a senator for a while in Napoleon's government. He dies in 1811. And he's buried in the Pantheon in Paris, which is like a huge honor for like the greatest heroes of France. Every part of him except for his heart, which is buried at his old house, which is interesting.
What? Why?
I don't know.
Because that's home is where your heart is.
Oh yeah,
Home
there you
is
go.
where your heart is.
That's true.
Nailed it.
Usually that's just like a crocheted, placard or something like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Well,
literal.
sometimes you take it literally, you
I
know?
guess so.
I imagine so, yes. Home is where the heart is. This is anomalous to us, Pat and Ben, because this is, ethics aside, this is a story that is larger than life. There is more than one badass involved here, right? So one of the questions we have to ask you all on behalf of our fellow ridiculous historians is this. How do we define a badass? What constitutes badassery? Does it always have to mean a good person?
Oh, Ben and I have talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't always mean a good person.
That's not a requirement.
Although many badasses are good people or work for the service of good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a thing that came up when I was doing the first badass book. I wrote the whole book, right? I'd been doing the website for 5 years, 6 years. I got the book. I'd written all 40 chapters for the book. And my editor was like, you need to do an introduction chapter where you define badass. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what makes all these guys badass. What does Leonidas have in common with Genghis Khan? How is Joan of Arc there? But, Horatio Nelson, like, how all these guys, what is the thing? Like,
What's our rubric?
right. What's the unifying factor here? And I think what it came down to was your determination and your perseverance to accomplish great things, right? These are all people who had a goal that they were going after, and they worked really, really hard to get it, and they accomplished it. And sometimes that goal is criminally insane, but I think that still counts, right? The thing that makes these people inspiring to us is that Bougainville was like, I am going to take on, I am a world-renowned explorer and international celebrity, but I believe in this, and I believe in the cause of liberty. And remember that the French fighting in this battle, they're still a monarchy. They're not flying the tricolor flag. This is pre-French Revolution. A lot of the ideals of the American Revolution will rub off onto the French who are here. But this is the period of the Enlightenment in France. They are still trying to reconcile, let's be free thinkers and think for ourselves and have all this interesting ideas. Let's try to reconcile that with there's also a monarchy, and God tells us that we have to do these things because this guy tells us we have to do them.
Well, and also, I mean, the Enlightenment seems like it would inherently kind of clash with the idea of warfare and killing other humans. That's
Sure.
not very enlightened behavior.
Exactly. But these guys get out there and they're like, well, you gotta break some eggs. And they're like, we gotta, he believes in this. He's like, I gotta get out here. I'm going to fight for, these guys are fighting for like freedom and their own self-determination, all this stuff. And so he's a true believer, and he goes and he's like, I'm going to fight for it. I don't care that like I'm a celebrity or whatever. I don't care that this is the most dangerous position on the fleet. I am going to go after this. I'm going to fight these guys, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to help America win its independence. I'm going to fight these British who I've been fighting my whole life. And there's something inspiring about these people who get out there and do these things, right? They kind of inspire us to, I'm not badass in my actual life, but there are days where I feel like I don't want to answer my emails, and then I try to think about Bougainville like charging
dude.
17 British warships, and I'm like, maybe I'll answer my emails this morning.
Also, it might be badass to dodge an email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending, yeah.
You rebel.
Yeah. You're leading, you're the tip of the spear on that one, right?
I handle my emails the way he handled the Terrible and the Ajax. I just delete, just demolish my emails, delete, unread, delete.
If only.
My doctor's office, what do they want? Delete.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Spam likely, not with me. It's a joke earlier about Noel, I think we were talking off air about some phone calls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we also, again, folks, Noel, Max, and I are not blowing smoke. We're not blowing rainbows or trumpets and angel farts here. Badass of the Week is one of our favorite explorations of exactly what we are hanging out with today, and indeed the entirety of this week. Pat, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Ben,
Thanks for having me.
oh my gosh. Ben, Noel and I have to do the check-in. Pat, are you okay with this Ben Thompson guy? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's all right.
He seems pretty cool to me.
Yeah, he's cool.
And thanks for coming back, Ben.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us.
Where's this
for the
coming
first time.
from?
It's just a check-in.
Yeah. Ben's all right.
Blink twice.
Ben's all right. Yeah.
If you want to
We've been
exit
doing
the
this for years now.
podcast.
Well, thanks as always to our super producer, Mr. Max Williams. We usually have a long run of credits. We're going to save you guys some time here, except for one thing. We have to recommend a good friend of the show that you all should hang out with if you haven't already. His name is AJ Jacobs.
We had him on our show. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we call him Bahamas.
For
You
some
can
reason.
never ask him why.
Not sure either. I don't know. He's a good guy. That makes perfect sense. I got to check out that episode.
Yeah, we had a great episode with him. I was doing the drink of the show, where every show I would have some kind of beverage that was related to whatever we were talking about.
Ooh, I could
And
get
then we were
dangerous
doing,
talking about history.
Yeah, we were doing Mongolian. Pat had brought some Mongolian mythology, the Jengar epic. And those guys all drink fermented mare's milk
Oh,
in the story.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I ordered fermented mare's milk from Mongolia.
I did not make him do this. This is Ben's own initiative.
It's boozy, yeah. It's fermented, so it's alcohol. It's like a wine level of alcohol.
What's your take? Did you all enjoy it?
I drank it. We live in different cities, so I just did it over Zoom, and it was really not good. It was really bad.
I don't know, man. You got that 7-league stare for a second.
It tasted like, but AJ, that was the show AJ was on. I drank it, and it was it tasted like hay. And that was the end of the drink of the show. We never did it again.
Oh, jeez. It was that bad. Well, hay is indeed for horses, and good on you for taking one for the team.
Yeah, I think that episode is like 80% of that episode is just me gagging
no.
choking.
I'm glad you made it. Well, note to self on alcoholic beverages, never to try. But thanks again, y'all, for coming, and we'll see you next time, folks. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.